keep this act up. I fear nothing and I'm some sort of machine, which again is nonsense.
Roy, you see up there, shut your mouth off.
You act, don't you? We're all actors in a sense, it's just one big game.
Whatever I've seemed to have said over the years, it's always exaggerated. The usual silly headline.
What you see on the telly, that's his character. He has this persona, this hard man persona.
Roy isn't a PR man, he tells the truth.
I probably should have ripped his head off.
You said if you ever was doing a punditry, you have a licence to shoot you.
Well, I've said a lot of things over the years, doesn't mean to say I'm going to stick to it, you know.
My next guest has been described as the best footballer ever produced by this country. He was undoubtedly also the most controversial.
Do you have a question for Roy Keane?
What was your dream when you were a kid?
The dream was to play football for a living.
Were you any good at school?
And I was one of them kids, looked out the window every day just thinking, get me out here. So yeah, that was my dream. Can I get to England? I got a trial at Forest, and Brian Clough was obviously very good at giving young players an opportunity. He threw me in very, very quickly.
What about your own personal position? Every day the newspapers are saying Roy Keane, he's worth £5 million, Real Madrid want to sign him. Are you flattered by all the transfer talk? Because earlier this season, even Diego Maradona was saying what a great player you are.
No, I don't take any notice.
In terms of what you identify as your own best characteristic, what would you say that is?
I don't know, will to win, I have a good desire to do well. I always try and give 100%. Come from a good background in terms of the area from Cork, you know, sport and family, and I always want to do well, and I think that's a good thing to have.
Does that still, by the way, motivate you, the fact that you remember where you came from, you know, things were tough enough growing up? Does that still motivate you?
I hope so. That's always there. I always try and picture, you know, I think I was one of the lucky ones. I don't think I was that talented in terms of the skills you were about Ronaldo, but I had a good desire and a will to win, and that certainly got me across to England.
But when you play on the edge, like I had to play because technically I wasn't actually a very good player. So my game was all about, I suppose, fitness and getting to people. And with that, there's going to be a cost. There's going to be a red card. There's going to be injuries. That was the deal I had with myself. You know, I was going to have to go and compete. I was competing every week.
I am a bit of a dreamer. I do believe we can achieve things.
So I wasn't worried about the city. I was never drawn. It was about what the club stood for. So when I went to Man United, again, they just won the league. There was momentum at the club, feel-good factor. Brilliant dressing room. I walked into an amazing dressing room. Brilliant characters. I loved the pressure. I liked Old Trafford. I liked the badge. I liked the training kit. I liked everything about the club. I played in a very important part of the pitch. I played in the middle of the park where part of my job was hitting people. People were hitting me. So that was the game I was in.
Was it anger?
What, when I was playing, you mean?
Or just the ability to...
There was lots of emotions. Fear of losing, fear of letting your teammates down, fear of coming back to Ireland at a young age. You know, when I went to Forest, it was no good me going to Nottingham Forest and being back after a year. I wanted to get over there and have a good career. You know, always doubt yourself, so I think that keeps...
Why do you doubt yourself?
I think that keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
I think if you get comfortable and relaxed and think you've achieved something, I think you're in big trouble. People always looked at me and thought I was a good leader and all this carry on. But United was full of leaders. We just showed in different ways. I was probably a bit more vocal as I got a bit older and the way I played. But when you're in a dressing room full of lads who wanted to win and who could play, there's a chance you're going to win a few trophies, let me tell you.
But like with all opportunities, it came with a cost. And Roy Keane knew the character he had to play, who he had to become in order to achieve what he wanted to achieve.
I've always been comfortable challenging myself and the people around me.
Did you like that though when you were playing? Did you like that reputation, I suppose, around you?
Yeah, I didn't mind it because of the role I had in the team. I admire the people, the senior players who I was surrounded with. Then before you know it, you're a senior player. You've played 300-400 matches, you've played 30-40 games for Ireland, and people are looking at you and then you're hoping, obviously, you're setting an example. It doesn't mean to say you have to got a halo above your head.
Did you feel it was your job to discipline the others as well?
No, I wouldn't go that far. I was very hard on them and we used to train properly and I expected people to be on time and we give it all for the club. And I thought, yeah, that's what I was supposed to do. But I wasn't necessarily there to... I was there to win at Man United. I wasn't there to be pals with everybody. I don't think I'd be one for sitting back on, you know, like even at United, we all, you know, with one trophy, I feel we should have won two. Even when we won the treble, I was thinking, well, maybe we could have had another trophy thrown in there. I think that's part of my makeup, but that drives me on. I'd hate to sit back and go, things are great, lads, we won the league. No, you always think, can we do better?
Having found his own recipe for success, it would eventually come back to bite him. On the eve of the 2002 World Cup, Keane departed the Ireland squad in one of the biggest World Cup dramas of all time.
I couldn't believe we went to Saipan to train when the island doesn't have a football pitch. You tell me, what are we doing in Saipan without a football pitch?
Roy Keane and controversy have been fellow travellers for most of his professional career, but his expulsion from the Republic of Ireland squad a week before the World Cup finals is nothing short of astonishing.
Any regrets at all, Roy?
Roy Keane has sent shockwaves around the Pacific island of Saipan.
think it's his job to make sure things are right for the team, and it wasn't, and I said it, and there you have it. I'm in Portugal on my holidays. Cowards sums him up, and I mean that. I will not go back on that.
That was built up over a long time, going back to when I was 15, 16 years of age, and then the frustration came when I never felt we kind of prepared things properly.
Roy Keane's a professional. He undermined his manager. He disrupted what seemed to be training going off the World Cup final.
I wasn't going to sit there, and especially when Mick made the accusations about me, which seemed to have been swept under the carpet a little bit, about me faking injury. So for him to accuse me that was the biggest insult. I told him that he was wrong, I didn't fake injury, and that I didn't respect him as a manager, as a person, as a player. Which is, if you don't respect me, you can't play for me. I left the room. It was over.
And his crime is that he has been forthright and honest. And he's very much wears his heart on his sleeve. And that's what drives him. And I think he feels that for too long in Ireland, the Irish soccer public has been cheated by incompetence. He knows there's a price to be paid. He's sent himself home by his behaviour.
A lot of people say, well, it's typical of Roy, and Roy should really shut up, but I can't.
It's only the Irish who will send the greatest player in the world probably at this time home and cheat the fans, cheat the nation of the opportunity of enjoying something we've worked hard for 4 years.
But I think on this occasion, for the first time, he really went past the post on it. He upset the players, he upset team morale, he upset the manager.
You know, I'm no angel, and I think I was very hard work, but I also, you know, I did want things done properly, I have to say. You know, I know I'm no angel.
I'm not going to talk about me and Roy. It is 20 years on. Yeah. It's, you know, one of the biggest World Cup stories, but I just got a little bit sick of it. It had a great effect on my life at the time.
I'm just wondering, like, how did that affect you emotionally? Did you cry?
In terms of when I was playing?
Yeah.
No, I think the only time I really cried was when I left United, after I had a bit of a disagreement with a few people.
I think Alex Ferguson, you know, from what I know, was a father figure to Roy. Yeah.
Did you have that thing of looking for a father figure when you went to England?
No.
I always felt, you know, that the players had huge respect for Alex Ferguson. You didn't want to let him down, ultimately. You wanted to go and give your all. He said to me one day, we were playing a game, and I was really poor. I might have been Aston Villa at home, and he came in at half-time. You're on about hairdryer. Forget the hairdryer. He just looked at me and went, Roy, and the disappointment in his face, I remember going, it was like a dagger in your heart. If I want to analyse it, I think we really both loved and wanted to do what was best for Man United, and there was huge respect between us. Unfortunately, that was probably lost at the end, but ultimately, I look back at my time working for Alex Ferguson, and he was a brilliant manager, absolutely brilliant, and very, very good to me. There's no getting away from that.
What do you feel are his most endearing qualities?
Well, Roy had this unquenchable thirst to win a football match, and it spread right through the team. The influence was staggering, and for 10 years, particularly as captain, he was the biggest influence in this football club.
Is that something that worked well with you, the fact that he did possess the same need to win as you did?
Well, I often say this, that I could see myself in Roy.
Do you feel that he is the type of player that is irreplaceable?
Well, we've been looking for Roy Keane for 3-4 years and haven't found anyone.
But physically, I knew at the end, like my last season, I tore my hamstring 3 times because I knew I wasn't running properly, because fitness wasn't right. You're taking painkillers for training. I went up to Celtic. I was quite embarrassed to be up at Celtic, picking up wages, and that's why I said, no, I can't do it. I'm too embarrassed. Physically, I can't do it.
But while his body was failing him, his mind and spirit was still intact. So when Alex Ferguson released an autobiography criticising some of the players that had brought Man United glory, Keane felt he had to respond.
I mean, the chapter that really jumps out from a footballing perspective is about Roy Keane. I mean, it's pretty frank and pretty brutal at times. Do you envisage him responding in any way, given the nature of the man, and would that actually worry you?
Well, I think you're right. The nature of the man will you can expect that. That is the type of personality Roy is. It happened so quickly, but his actions were so quick. For one reason or another, he decided to go and criticise his teammates. I just couldn't lose my control in this particular situation. And if I had let it pass, I think the players would have viewed me differently. For Roy, he overstepped his mark.
Do you think you'd ever forgive him?
Good question. I'm not sure. And obviously we had our disagreements, and I departed, and I had no problems with that. That's fine. It's afterwards when people start, you know, coming up with all sorts of nonsense, and he made millions of pounds on it, you know. He got his statues, he's got his stand named after him. But to criticise people who brought him success was just ridiculous. So, would I ever forgive him? I don't know.
Finding his feet in his new post-playing days world, it was time for Keane to see if he was up for the next biggest challenge, management.
At 1 week in management, how does it feel?
I think it's the right challenge for me, and I'm ready for it.
What did Teresa say when you discussed with her the notion of moving to Ipswich?
Well, we didn't really discuss it, I just said we were going.
I asked you about your strengths, you know, that relentless, that will to win. What would you say is your weakness?
I'm very impatient. Whose phone is that? That's the second time it's gone off.
Oh, it's my phone, sorry.
Why did you turn it off? No, that's the second time it's gone off. Why don't you put it on silent?
No, it's not the second time.
Well, why don't you turn it off?
Well, I'll turn it off in a minute.
You're just going to let it ring?
Well, I thought I'd let it ring out.
All right, that's good manners.
How do you judge or how do you view your managerial career as a whole? Certainly at Ipswich and Sunderland. How do you view it as a whole?
A bit hit and miss, I have to say. I like being a
Yeah.
manager, and I was very comfortable in terms of even the difficult situation we had at Sunderland. We had a difficult year when I got there and the year when we got promoted. So it's just when people move goalposts on me and I feel I can't trust them, that's when I say, you're not for me. And it was the same even my time at United when me and the manager sat down, we shook hands. There was no big drama.
You know, the management thing, do you think you wanted to go into that because of how you were mismanaged in the end?
No, not really. No. If I look at myself as a manager now, back in the day when I was a manager in the Premiership, I was 35, 36 years of age. I talk about inexperience.
Yeah.
So I should have, if I could look back now and go, you were doing fine. You were doing fine. Yeah. I just didn't rock my boat. I just felt I should be doing more. I have a lot more to give to football. And I think sometimes on the side of a pitch or in the studio, I just thought, no, I'm better than this. If you know what I mean. I want to do more, and I feel bad saying that, but no, I just had that desire.
His first forays into management weren't successful, and TV punditry left him wanting more, which meant going back to where it all began.
I think I'm the bad cop, and I think he's the bad cop.
As soon as I met Martin, I was like, let's go for it.
Returning home, having redefined the role of prodigal son.
Having Roy in small doses is just the perfect answer.
Well, when you're playing top-level sport is all about disappointments. But if you survive long enough, you get a few highs along the way.
I think I deserve another crack.
At what level, or where do you want to be?
Well, that's a good question, because I think I'm very lucky. I have a really good life now. I can pick and choose what I want to do.
Yeah.
It'd have to be a good offer, and the worry is it probably won't be a good offer.
Why not?
It won't be. My CV doesn't warrant Real Madrid calling me. I'll just have to wait up. But to answer your question, I honestly don't think you know until you're asked.
Yeah.
You don't know which job.
You'll feel it.
Yeah, I'll feel it and go with that gut feeling. But I have a feeling in my bones that I think probably something will come up over the next few months, and then I'll have a look at it.
A couple of other experiments in coaching came to nothing, and maybe as time went on, it was time for Keane to do what he swore he never would, but was maybe always destined for.
When you do the TV, you're still part of a team. That's because a lot of ex-players do sit around thinking, poor me, but you have to get off your backside, and you have to get out and do something, survive, I suppose.
You seem very much at peace with yourself at the moment. In a good place.
I always am, Pat. I just sometimes. Again, I grow a beard, people think I'm depressed. It's amazing.
First of all, I think about Roy. If he has the beard, if he's wearing the beard, which does not suit him, trouble's brewing.
Me and my wife and my kids, we laugh at whatever that might be out there about me.
Does the beard being on or off define how you feel, or is it just nothing to do with it?
No, that would be a bit too deep. You're looking at it's just sometimes it's laziness.
Yeah?
Yeah. And if I have a shave now, come tomorrow, a bit of stubble, then the day after you go, not a shave, just leave it.
So I never needed to chase that, I suppose, the plaudits from the public. It never interested me. So I don't have to play that game with people. I don't have to pander to people and make them want to kind of like me a little bit.
As you can imagine, great celebrations on the right. And look, Roy making sure that the tea doesn't go out.
Yeah, I think the only thing I'd be critical of is why would you want to speak to an opposition player? I don't care if he's your teammate or not for over 20 minutes. I very rarely speak to anybody for over 5 minutes. I was never one for hugs and kisses before games and even afterwards. I like going to work, I like doing the business.
I'm always hugging people, but just usually there's not people around. I'm always hugging my dogs, but no one seems to worry about that.
If you want to have a selfie with Roy, buy a dog. Buy a dog. He will stop for anybody who has a dog.
The sense what kind of mood you might be in. I know for a fact, particularly when I was a manager at Ipswich, and I'd come back from matches, and if we lost a game, which unfortunately we did regularly, They would just sense, as I was getting out of the car, they just look at me and they go, he's lost today. So whatever energy I was giving out, they'd pick up on that, and then they just might go hiding for an hour or two. And yeah, but the dogs give you that unconditional love, and they're loyal, and they don't ask any questions, I suppose. When I stopped playing, I didn't miss it. I never missed playing. It's really bizarre, because it was everything I stood for, the game. I'm going back to my days at Rockmount, my year at Cove Ramblers, 3 years at Forest, United, 12.5 years, and I did obviously a few months at Celtic. That's what I stood for. And then it was like, no, it's over now. I've never really missed it, which is very, very pleasing, because a lot of players can't let it go. And I was convinced I'd be one of them.
How do you get your clarity then?
Clarity for what?
For life in general. How do you? Is it natural?
Cool. Yeah, I'm quite relaxed. I'm pretty contented with my life. I was lucky with the career I had.
The job you'd ended up in, if not football?
Do you know what? I haven't got a clue, but I think I would have done all right for myself, because I don't mind working. Biggest challenge, I suppose, for a lot of sports people is when your career's over. As I said, I was 34, and then really my challenges started then. What do I do with myself? How do I keep busy? How do I look after the family? How do I look after my few bob?
How's the world?
Brilliant.
Happy? You seem happy.
Well, my kids always say to me, are you happy, Dad? And I say, yeah. They obviously will tell your face. But
Obviously, I've made huge mistakes along the way, but generally speaking, I'm pretty contented with the deal I've got. I've got great freedom. I answer to nobody. I come back to Ireland when I want. I do a little bit of TV work. I do a few matches.
The only thing I have inside me is, I think, with my stuff, and I know I'm going back a long time, and obviously I worked with Martin for a while with Ireland, I do think I could do a good job. I think maybe it's a bit of ego, I don't know. And maybe that will never leave me. But also, if I didn't go back into management, I'm fine with that. I have a great life. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.